Okay, we are ready.
This is BharatFM.
बजेगा भारत, झूमेगा भारत. बजेगा भारत, झूमेगा भारत.
This is BharatFM.
Hello everyone, welcome to YogaLeher GeetaMehek on BharatFM. So आज हम start कर रहे हैं new session from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every week. So welcome all of you. So first hour we will do yoga asana, the yoga postures. And then the next hour from 8 to 9 p.m. we will discuss Bhagavad Geeta. So for right now, wherever you are, in whatever setting you are, if you have a mat, that's fine. If you don't have it, if all you have is a carpet, that's fine too. And later on, you can always, those who are on Zoom can put in the chat of what feedback, give your feedback. And also you can give us a feedback later so that I can, if you have specific aches or pains and you want me to target certain things, we can do that. Today, I will do some yoga poses that we need to do after we do a walk. So a lot of people have told me that they do take a walk, a nature walk. It's a great time to go out for a walk. With COVID-19, you don't want to go out in groups, but take a walk. But if you take a walk on a daily basis or even 4 times a week and you're coming back and then just sitting down, over time, you're going to have tightness in your lower back. You're going to have tightness in your groin, legs. So it's very important that you stretches kare. You can call it stretches, but these are specific yoga asanas that we can do. What is the difference between stretch and a yoga asana? Stretch is simply you're focusing on that muscle. When you're calling a yoga asana, you are coordinating it with your breath. You are a little more mindful. You're bringing your attention to your body, to your breath. You are using the asana to become more aligned so that your practice can get deeper into yoga. Okay, so let's imagine that you've just come back from a walk and then you come home and you're tired, you're sweaty. So I thought, there's all different ways we could begin. But, when we come back from a walk, we're really tired. So I tend to lay down in under a fan. So let's start with laying down poses. Let's lay down on the mat. Just flat on your back. Bring your attention to your breath. Your legs can be straight. बिल्कुल सीधा अपने पैर आप रख सकते हैं. या फिर you can keep your knees bent and your foot flat on the mat. The feet can be hip distance apart and just relax your shoulder, roll your shoulder, plant it on the mat. And let's do a couple breaths of a grounding practice. So just take regular breaths in through your nose and out through your nose. Once again, in through your nose and out through your nose. And now let's gently sway our knees to side. Now you have just come from a walk. Maybe you did a gentle walk. Maybe you walked a little faster. So you're a little bit tachycardic. Your heart थोड़ा सा fast heartbeat हो रहा है. और आपका breath भी थोड़ा fast है. So you don't want to push yourself too hard. Just gentle rocking of your knees from side to side. Let your knees come back to the middle. Take a deep inhale. And with an exhale, let's drop both the knees to the left. Just let them prop to the left. अगर आपको एक्सरसाइज में कुछ समझना पड़े, कोई posture में कुछ समझ, just look at it. Nobody is watching you. You can take the arms overhead or you can keep it to the side, your choice. You can look towards your right side or you can stay in the middle. Doesn't matter. We're just doing a gentle stretch in the beginning. Bring your knees back to the center with an inhale. And exhale, and let's drop it to the right. The knees are plopped on the right. Arms can stay overhead. Let yourself just sink into the ground. The knee muscle, the muscles around the knee, the quads, which are your thigh muscle, all tend to get very tight over time if you don't stretch any muscle stretches after your walk. With an inhale, come back to the middle. Extend your legs straight out. Take a deep inhale and stretch your arms overhead. You can even clasp your fingers as if you're just waking up. And exhale and take your foot to the right and your hands to the right. So now you're like a C shape, like a banana. Try to keep the left shoulder on the ground. So really you are not trying to lift yourself up. Just try to, so you may not have too much of a C shape, just a little bit. But you'll feel a stretch on this left side. Big inhale, come back to the middle. And with an exhale, let's go on the other side. A gentle stretch. You can keep your eyes closed or open. Keep attention on your breath. We are constantly trying to ground ourselves. With an inhale, let's come back to the middle. Exhale, bring the knees to the chest. Clasp both your shins, rock side to side. Pavan Muktasana. So this is a great pose even when you have bloating and gas खाने के बाद गैस बने. पवन मुक्तासन बहुत ही बढ़िया आसन है. Just rock yourself side to side. Ankles can be flexed. They can be relaxed too. Come back to the middle. Take a deep inhale. Exhale. Let's drop it to the left. Extend your right arms to the right side. And you can stay right here, or you can hold your right knee with your left hand and take it across the left knee. So thoda or extra stretch ho jata hai. A little bit more stretch. You can look towards your right fingers. So now I am stretching and I'm twisting the back, which the back muscles are also used when you go for a walk. So it's amazing how many muscles are coordinating to allow you to walk. And also the glutes, this lower part that has been used. So now we're kind of stretching that area too. Inhale, come back to the middle. Exhale, drop it to the right. Extend your left hand, arm to the left side. Hold your left knee with your right hand and take it across the right knee. You can look towards the left hand. Breathe in through your nose, out through your nose. With a deep inhale, come back to the middle. Plant your left foot on the ground, right ankle on top of the left thigh. Here, let's rock a little side to side. So we're using different angles. Actually, we're going to go straight into thread the needle here. So just be in the middle. And now what we're going to do is you're going to take the left foot off the mat 90 degrees. So now you're like this, 90 degrees. Take both your hands, thread between this thigh, the right thigh, hold behind the left thigh. So now flex both the feet. So feet is completely flexed. You're holding behind the left thigh. Now, if holding behind the left thigh is a problem, then you can always just hold the right foot. Now here what is important is keep your chin tucked in. So अगर ये neck ऐसे stretch हो रहा है, तो there is something wrong. You know, this is too much for your back. So gently place your neck back, chin towards the chest. So the neck is flat, you're not hurting your neck. Now, if that makes it a problem to hold behind the left thigh, you can use like a little dupatta, a little scarf to hold behind the left thigh. Now, with your right elbow, see if you can push the right thigh. So I'm creating a little tension there. Now this stretch is really good. You'll feel it behind in the right glutes. So your hip में जो gluteus muscle है, which makes your bulk of your hip, it has gluteus major, there's gluteus minor. These hip muscles are very much used when you go for a walk. It's very important to stretch them. Now what I want you to do is hold the left foot with your left hand, and let's turn the right foot here. So I'm holding the right foot with the right hand. Now I'm bringing both of them in. So if you're not able to do, gently do it. You know, I've been doing yoga for the last 18 years. So sometimes I don't, it's been built over the years. So if you're not able to do it, just let it go and keep holding like what you were doing before. But if you're able to do, you can bring this brings the stretch a little bit more. It feels good. Okay, gently relax yourself. Plant the left foot on the mat, straighten the right leg. So now the right leg is straight up, you're holding behind the right thigh. Flex the right foot. So now your right ankle, the ankle is completely flexed. So you'll feel this, behind the right shin. So, again, not right shin, I'm sorry, it's the right calf. So what happens is the calf muscles are very much, of course, used, right? And if you're not stretching your calf muscles over time, you're going to have plantar fasciitis. So you want to make sure you're stretching this tendon right here. Now, let's straighten the ankle and point your toes to the ceiling. So toes to the ceiling. Now you're stretching the shin. And now let's take the toes inside, so toward the left. So now feel the tension here. So you'll feel the tension in the ankle, the shin. There's something called Shin Splint. People who walk too much, especially if they're walking on an incline, थोड़ा सा heel पे walk कर रहे हैं और फिर stretching नहीं करते हैं, तो ये shin में दर्द होने लगता है. Again, point the toes to the ceiling. And let's flex the ankle again. And now gently place the right foot on the mat. Pick up your left ankle, place it on the right thigh. Gently rock side to side. Massaging your lower back. And now let's lift the right foot off the mat. Flex both the ankles, hold behind the right thigh, thread the needle. When I say thread the needle, you're basically threading between and holding it. Push your left thigh with your left elbow. keep both the ankles flexed. Keep your chin tucked in. Feel the stretch in the left glutes. Now, sometimes if this is not enough, in yoga, what is important is everybody's body is different. So where I'm feeling stretch, you're feeling, you need it somewhere else, because not the same spot in the muscle, in that particular, muscles are big. Some particular fibers may be tight. So you may have to take your right ankle a little bit to the right to feel the stretch. So gently play around. See what feels better for you. Once we have done this, let's hold the left ankle with the right foot, right ankle with the left foot. Let's pull it in. Feel a little more stretch on the left glutes. And gently release. Plant the right foot on the mat. Left leg is straight up. Flex the ankle. Flex the foot. So now feel the stretch behind in the left calves. Point your fingers to the ceiling. And then let's take the toes a little bit to the right. So now feel the stretch in the left shin. If you're here and, depending on how's your day going, if you went out, you can even take a couple circles of your ankle right here. Loosen your ankle joint after a walk. People talk about their ankle pain, 6 months into a walk or even 3 months into a walk, because they never did any kind of yoga stretches. Let's again flex the foot. And let's gently plant the left foot down on the mat. Here we're going to do a bridge pose. Again, you may think bridge is just about strengthening, but it's actually a lot about releasing the lower back. So both the feet on the mat, hip distance apart, bring them in as much as possible. See if your tips of the fingers can touch the heels. The chin is flat, touching the chest. Take an inhale and tuck the tailbone in. So I am tucking the tailbone in. What that means is the moment I tuck the tailbone in, my lower back goes flat. So, we have a curve in the back. I will tuck it in so my back gets flat. So let's again try that. Inhale, tuck the tailbone in. Exhale, lift your butt off the mat, straight off the mat. Now here, don't squeeze your glutes. Instead, see if you can keep the foot completely grounded and push the foot. You feel like you're pushing the foot forward. You're not actually pushing, but you're kind of creating that grounding. So you're not squeezing the butt. You're actually creating that shin is almost trying to go ahead. You can clasp your fingers underneath. You can even roll a little bit to take your, even shoulder a little bit in. And gently relax yourself. Bring your knees in. Let's try the happy baby pose. So here, raise both the legs up. You can hold the big toes if it's available. You can hold the ankle. You can hold the side of the foot, whatever. This is like the happy baby, when the babies are born. So this is a great stretch for the pelvic area, for the lower back. And gently release your leg. And now we're going to do a few on the back, on the tummy, and then we will do a couple on the standing. Let's see how we're doing on the time. Okay, now let's turn over a little bit. So you have done a bunch of them on the tummy. Those are the ones you would do after you go for a walk. A lot of them for the on the tummy are strengthening, so we are not doing strengthening ones today. Today we are going to do some that are just plain relaxing. So the first one we're going to do is we're going to come on all fours. So here the hands are underneath the shoulder, the knees, your foot can be flat, your knees are, hip distance apart. Let's do a couple cat-cows here. So what does a cat-cow mean? Inhale, bring your chest forward, raise your head up. Drop your belly. Exhale, round your back. This is an angry cat. Inhale, drop your belly, bring your chest forward, raise your neck. That's a cow. Exhale, round your back. Once more, inhale, forward and up. Exhale, round the back. Come back to the neutral. Here we will do one for the scapula. Inhale, take the left arm overhead. Exhale, again thread the needle. Take it under the right armpit and take it all the way across. So now you're feeling the stretch in the scapular region. The right hand can stay right where it is. It can straighten out. Doesn't matter. And adjust yourself. Feel where the tightness is. Sometimes I even have to straighten my right leg to roll further to feel that. So it all depends. Today I'm not as tight. Some days I can be more tight. Inhale, unwind yourself, bring the right hand back, take your arms overhead. Exhale, plant it down. Let's try it on the other side. Inhale, right arms overhead. Exhale, thread the needle under the left armpit. And so now we're here. You can keep the left hand where it is. You can even go forward. Just, play around to see what feels, where the stretch feels. So this is also good for those who sit on the computer a lot, which is pretty much all of us. So our scapular upper back gets tight. Even as doctors, we sit on the computer a lot. Inhale, takes the arms overhead. Exhale, bring it back. Let's do one more here. Okay, what I want you to do, right in this position, straighten the right leg. So now the right leg is straight. Now push the heel back so you can feel the stretch in the calves, in the right calves. So kind of rocks a little bit, feel the stretch in the calves. If you haven't taken a walk today, you will feel the benefit the day after your walk. So I tend to do this, I'll actually be going for a walk after my yoga class today, and then come back and do the stretches. At night, after a walk, you don't need more than 15-20 minutes. So I'm not saying do it for a whole hour at that time, but if you know a bunch of them, then you can rotate them. Bring it back, keep the knees where they were, straighten the left one, and stretch it. And women, I've seen a lot of women getting plantar fasciitis. So it starts with your calf muscle being tight, gradually the tendon in the ankle gets tight, and then that is connected to the plantar fascia underneath your foot. So do these. Okay, let's come back to the middle. Let's go into child pose. Child pose is just sitting back on your heels. Wherever you are, just relax. So even though for some people which is very easy, it may seem like an easy exercise, but really stretches this area. So child pose, if you can even do that for, 5 minutes after you walk, you're much better off. Walk your hands to the right. So let's walk our hands to the right and give ourselves a gentle stretch on the left. Now, once you're on the right, you can take your right hand and plant it on top of the left hand and give yourself a gentle pull. If that is uncomfortable, you can take the right hand and just rest it by the foot. So you can just make it about one hand. For people with shoulder pain, this is a good exercise. Let's walk our hands to the middle. Take a deep inhale again. Bring your awareness to breath. Exhale. Let's walk it to the right, to the left. Yeah, I tend to mess up this right and left, but now again, you can hold the back of your right hand with your left and give it a gentle pull, or you can take your left hand by your side and next to your foot and just relax there. Each yoga posture, if you're holding for at least a minute and a half, that's when, depending on how tight you are, if you're really tight, you want to hold it for 2 minutes. If you're not, fine, you can hold it for a minute. Come back, take an inhale, come back to the middle. Now we're going to do one more in this position. You're going to be keeping your head wherever it is right now. We're going to leave your forehead on the mat and roll your back, the whole back up. So you're just going to lift your butt off. The forehead remains where it is. And bring yourself as much curve to the back as possible. So you're stretching your neck, your mid back, your lower back. And unwind yourself. Now we're going to come here. Now curl your toes and let's sit on our toes. So we're going to be sitting like this. Now why are we doing this after a walk? Again, this is what we need to make sure we are stretching under your foot. This is where the plantar fascia is. So we need to make sure you're stretching that. So sit right here. And while sitting here, we will do some, because you need a few minutes here. So you're going to do some gentle neck rolls. So inhale, exhale, tuck your chin, bring your chin to the chest. Inhale, let's make some clockwise rotation. Inhale, half a rotation. Exhale, complete the rotation. Let's do 2 more times. Inhale, half a rotation. Exhale, complete the rotation. Last time. Inhale, half a rotation. Exhale, complete the rotation. Let's do on the other side, anti-clockwise. Inhale, half a rotation. Exhale, complete the rotation. Let's do 2 more times. Inhale and exhale. Last time. Inhale and exhale. Now, uncurl your toes. And now bring your knees up. So try to see if you can bring your knees up. You can, keep your hands there. It may be more helpful to keep your hands in the back. So we are now doing counter pose. In yoga, you always do a counter pose. Okay. With that, we are going to do some sitting poses. So let's come back to the sitting. Bring your sole of the feet together. Let's open up the sole of the feet like a book. Let's thank our feet for all the work it does for us all day. We never thank our feet. This is one of your karmendriyas, the faculty of action. Okay, let's clasp your toes with both your hands. You can hold a little bit underneath if it gives you a leverage. And then inhale, straight back. Exhale, let's bend from the hips. Now here, very important that you're not rounding your back and your goal is not to touch the forehead to the foot. Your goal is to bring your chest forward. So you're going to, it's not about coming down. The chest is going to try to come forward. Back is trying to stay straight. You can push the calves or the thighs with your elbows. So we're actually not trying to round the back. The scapula, which is back here, tries to stay as together as possible. So I'm constantly making sure I'm bringing the chest forward. Exhale, release yourself. Now, let's take our left foot and plant it on the right thigh. So the right foot is right, just sitting like this. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, let's go down. So here, because you've been walking your mid-back, even if you've been sitting on a computer, this side, this is tight. So I'm just going to rest it. You can put both your, you can make fists and just rest on that. You can rest flat on the mat, on your carpet. So giving yourself a stretch there. Inhale, come on up. Take the the right foot away from underneath and place it in front of the left knee. So now, instead of it being here, it is here. So it's in front. And we're going to do the same thing. You will feel the difference. So once it's in front, then let's inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, let's go down. So you'll feel the stretch right now more. I'm feeling it on the right side. There is a whole, I'm feeling it in the sacroiliac here. So it depends on where exactly you're tight, but this is the area, general area on the right side, you'll feel the stretch. Inhale, come on up. Let's do the other side. So take your right foot, place it on the left thigh. The left foot is tucked under the right thigh. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, let's gently go down. Now, when you're coming out from a walk, you may want to stay in these positions for longer. It's really up to you how tight you are. And if you don't do these things, it won't be long before, you are saying that you are having trouble when you get up, you're not able to walk straight right after you get up. If you sit down and then you stand up, you're too tight. All those complaints begin. Inhale, come on up. Take the left foot from underneath the right thigh, place it in front of the right knee. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, let's go down. Now I'm always more tight on my left side. So I feel more stretch here because I know I'm more tight here. So none of us are, most of us are not completely aligned. One side is more tight than the other. So you may feel it different on both sides, and your abilities also may be different on both sides. So it's okay. Be gentle with yourself. Self-awareness is the key is the point of yoga. Let's come on up. Let's straighten both the legs in front. Now pick your hips and push it back into the socket. So we're kind of trying to sit up front. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale. Gently bend forward. Again, I don't want you to try to curve your back to touch. That's not the point. You're going to try to keep the back straight. Really, it's not so important how far you go, because if I don't keep my back straight, then I don't get the good stretch in the lower back. So if I want the stretch in the lower back, I almost like try to put your belly, your lower belly onto the thigh. So if you curve your back, your lower belly goes away from your thigh. So I'm trying to constantly, now if you think you have a tendency to cheat, take your hand and put it in the back. Now you automatically can't cheat. Bend your knees a whole lot if you need to. Create that extra angle of stretch. The goal is stretch. Nobody's looking at you. There's no perfection in these poses. It is about the maximum benefit to you. Flex your foot. We'll give you more stretch. Exhale. Let's come down. Okay. Now, there are a lot more poses we can do in this, but because I want to get to some of the other ones, I will actually give you one more in this one. And the reason I want to do that is this one can be done when you're watching TV also. So this is your big muscle, the quads, the biggest muscle in your body. And so this one definitely needs to be stretched. If you do not stretch your thigh muscle, then this thigh muscle has these little tiny muscles, and then the tendons going and inserting into your knee. Your knee has got a bone called patella, and that when this all gets tight right above the knee, then the patella gets pulled, and once the patella gets pulled, it presses against the bone, and people get this knee pain. They don't have arthritis, but what they have with the patella femoral syndrome. So that is why we need to make sure we loosen this area. So this thigh muscle stretches are very important. So I'll give you an easy one to do. So in this one, actually, let's lay down and let's do it on the side. So once you lay down on the side, you can just keep your hands like this. I like to do it this way in front of the TV. And then you will bend your left knee and hold it. Not hold it, then you can always take a scarf and do this. So hold the left knee, pull it back. So first, let's just pull it back. So you're basically creating that calf stretch. You can also do this standing. So you do have that option. Some people just may not be as stable standing. So this you can just do in front of TV while watching it, your favorite serial. And then let's pull this ankle up and out. So ankle needs to come out. The reason that needs to happen, we need to stretch the inside of the thigh. So that is also inside of this groin. So there is a ligament there that tends to get tight. So pull this knee out. So when you're doing it at home, you're not like 30 seconds. You can do it for a minute. Just lay there and do this. So over time, it will be a good stretch to do. Relax it, and let's do it on the other side. And let's hold the right ankle and take it back first. So when you take it back, you are stretching the groin. So there is that psoas muscle. So a lot of people have a tightness of the psoas. They don't even know. All they know is they have low back pain. But the back pain is coming from the tightness of the psoas muscle, which is inserted in the, it's here. The only way you can access it through the front. It's not in your belly. It's not in the wall. It's actually much behind, but this is the only way to stretch it. So if you don't stretch it over time, it pulls so much that your back head. And it's not just in people who walk. People who drive too much or they sit at the computer too much, they get tight psoas too. Okay, and now let's take the ankle up and out. So we're creating that little bit stretch. If anyone has specific issue with groin pain or tight muscles here in the groin, you can always message me. I can go over specific stretches for you. Okay, let's release that. Okay, actually I want to do a couple of, we have done some sitting postures. Let's do a couple of standing postures too. So, from here, in whatever way you feel comfortable, let's stand up. You can come to the top of your mat. First, let's ground ourselves. So, open up, take up all your toes and lift up, fan your toes and then plant it back. Your feet can be hip distance apart. They can be next to each other. When you are next to each other, it's less stable. So some people prefer it here, which is actually absolutely fine. Roll your shoulders and relax. This is Tadasana. Just a couple breaths here, grounding, ground yourself. Okay, let's take a big inhale up. Clasp your fingers, show your palms to the ceiling. If you have, you can take a slight back bend. Big inhale, exhale, take it to the right. So we're creating a little bit stretch on the right. Inhale, come back to the middle, exhale to the left. Inhale, come back to the middle. We're going to do it again, but this time we're going to take the hip out a lot. So let's inhale, exhale to the right, and let's take out the hip to the left. So creating more of an arch, giving yourself that stretch. Come back to the middle. Exhale, let's go to the other side. Now, whenever you come back into a pose, like come back to the middle, whenever I say that, it's always with an inhale. And going into a pose is always an exhale. So then you can take a few breaths in that pose. Stick your right hip out. Inhale, come back to the middle. Exhale, let's bend from your hips all the way down. Just relax, forward fold. You can cycle your knees here. We never go upside down all day, so this is a great pose. You can even hold both your elbows, rock yourself side to side. You can even rock yourself up and down. Just a couple more breaths in this pose. This is a great pose to release your legs, your backs, your glutes. Bend your knees a whole lot. See how much knees, just like don't be excessive about it, but just bend your knees. Don't try to, one other aspect of yoga poses is never lock your knees. So your knees, when they're locked, that causes knee injuries. So always have a micro bend in the knees, but right now just let's do a little more bend than usual. You'll feel the stretch differently. Release your hands if you are holding it. And now we'll do one thing here. We are going to bend the right knee, straighten the left knee. Again, don't lock it. Leave your right hand on the mat. Inhale, raise the left hand overhead. So now we are stretching the outside of your left leg, again, the lower back, but different angle. Exhale, bring it down. Left hand on the mat, left knee bent, right knee straight. Inhale, right arm overhead. How much you want to do is really up to you. So when you're by yourself, how long you want to stay in the pose. But I hear so many complaints of lower back pain, and when I ask people, they don't stretch for more than 30 seconds or 20 seconds. You're not going to be able to stretch with that. Exhale, let's come down. Now we're going to actually widen our stand. So wherever we are going to widen. If you're on a mat, you can take your foot the mat distance apart, so just a little wide. We're going to do the Malasana. So here we are wide like this. And then let's gently go down and sit down. So this is the pose. Now, if you're unable to do it, you can always, if you cannot put the heels on the ground, because we want the back straight. If you cannot put the heels on the ground, keep your hands on the mat and just stay on tippy toes. You can do this. You can put a couple cushions underneath your butt so you can sit there. Now this Malasana pose is a great pose for Mala. So Mala means the waist. So for your digestive system, if you're having constipation, this is the pose you want to do in the morning. But the reason you want to do after a walk, because you'll feel there is certain muscles that I can reach only pretty much through this pose, the other poses. But here, again, try to keep the back as straight as possible. Imagine there's a wall in front and you're looking over that fence, over that wall. You're kind of keeping your back straight. Exhale, release yourself. Bring your hands a little bit forward. And let's go into downward facing dog. So take both your feet back. Let's lift your glutes up. Rock and cycle your foot. So this is a downward facing dog. In downward facing dog, your fingers are completely planted on the mat. Your index fingers are parallel to each other. Sometimes your middle can be too, but let's keep the index fingers parallel to each other. Your elbows are showing forward, so your shoulders are rotated externally. This is a common, if you don't do that, you can cause shoulder injuries. Cycle your foot. Inhale, raise the right leg up. Exhale, we're going to come into the pigeon pose. So pigeon pose, so you're planting the right knee and the foot on the mat. You're straightening the left leg. So you see now I'm in this position. Inhale, I can sit up a little bit. Exhale, let's go down. So this is the biggest hip opener. Now when you go down, you can put your forehead on the mat. You can put your left cheek on the mat. This is a big, big stretch. Inhale, let's come on up. Let's curl the left toes. Let's go back into downward facing dog. If you cycle the leg, see if you can put the heels on the floor, bring your feet inside if that helps. But basically you're stretching and creating a little more stretches there. Inhale, raise the left leg up. Exhale, pigeon pose on the left. So the knees and the leg is flat on the mat. The right leg is extended. Inhale, you can sit up. Exhale, let's go down. Here you can put your right cheek on the mat. This is one of those poses that if you can't get to any, just do this one. And at least your lower back and the glutes will be fine. And then you need to do one for your front of the thigh. At the bare minimum, do this. Now this particular stretch we always do for a little bit longer because this is takes time for you to open up. Yeah, sometimes it can get uncomfortable. Inhale, come on up. Unwind yourself. Let's go to downward facing dog. We'll do just one more here. Inhale, right leg up. Exhale, gently bring the right knee in and gradually plant it between the two hands. Plant your left knee on the floor. So it's like the low lunge. You can keep the toes curled. If you want to flatten your foot, that's fine too. So again, if you can realize I'm doing again the thigh stretch. So here you can, gently go a little bit here, a little bit here, feel wherever you're tight. There's so many ways we can do this exercise. But we are not going to do all of them. I'm just giving you a sample of things you can do. And when you do yoga every time with me, you will learn a lot more exercises. I call them exercise. You can call asana, exercise, posture, whatever you want to call. If you're doing it with mindfulness, you're doing yourself some good. Curl your left toes. Let's go back into downward facing dog. I won't stay here for too long. Inhale, raise the left foot up. Exhale, gradually, gently come between the hands and plant the left foot. Right knee on the mat, toes curled or uncurled, your choice. Find your sweet spot. Each side is going to be a lot different. See what makes you, where you need the stretch today. Every day is going to be different too. So some days you walked on an uneven surface, different areas tight. Some days you walked on a hill, a different muscle was used more. Some day you walked on a downward slope. So it all depends. Some day you went biking, some day you just sat at your desk. So you will know which muscle is tight. So just gently find your spot. Again, curl your right toes. Again, back to downward facing dog. And from there, let's put our knees on the floor, child pose. Let's come on up. We're going to lay on the back and we are going to end with Shavasana. So let's lay comfortably on our back. We have a few minutes left. So let's lay comfortably on our back. You can keep the knees bent or straighten your legs out. Let the foot fall on the side. Roll your shoulder. Show your palms to the ceiling and take your arms about 30 degrees. So you're kind of relaxed there in that position. Allow your body to sink into the mat. Your heels, your back of your calves, the back of your thighs. your glutes. Allow them to sink into the mat. Back of your hands, your wrist, your elbows, your shoulder. Let it sink into the mat. Your lower back, your upper back. Allow it to sink into the mat. Bring your attention to your facial muscles around your mouth and your cheeks, and gently allow it to relax. Bring your attention to your eye muscles and realize that you might be closing your eyes a little too tight. Gently relax your eye muscles. Bring your attention to the middle of the forehead and gently allow the brow muscle to relax. Bring your awareness to your tongue, your teeth, and gently allow your mouth to relax on the inside. And now bring your attention to your nose, to the breath going in through your nose and out through your nose. As you breathe in, watch your belly become full, come up. And as you breathe out, the belly sinks. When you feel ready, you can bring your hands to your chest and to your belly. Thank yourself for bringing yourself to the mat today. It was not a mistake or a coincidence that you are here today. This is where you were meant to be. And now when you feel ready, you can roll on to one side. And gently bring yourself to the sitting position. And with that, we end our yoga asana practice.
This is BharatFM.
बजेगा भारत झूमेगा भारत. बजेगा भारत झूमेगा भारत.
This is BharatFM.
Okay, Anisha, I have allowed everybody on the Zoom to be able to unmute themselves, all right? Yes. So you can continue.
Hi, everyone. So, any particular feedback from the yoga session? Hi, Lucy.
Hi. I liked it today.
Thank you. Was it more doable today?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Because after we do walking, we definitely need to do stretching. So make sure that take walks. There's nothing like nature walks. So I think nature walks people have forgotten to take, but I think the COVID is people are taking more nature walks. So that's awesome. It is great for your mental, physical health, but then you need to do some sort of stretching.
Yeah. Hi. We both used to go to cycling in the morning or in the evening whenever we get time.
Yeah.
He
Then
doesn't
after,
like to walk. So he
yeah,
used to
yeah,
go with me for cycling. Bicycle.
yeah. Okay. So any other thoughts, comments on yoga or on Bhagavad Gita? Okay. So today then, let's begin. So we have been doing the Bhagavad Gita class for actually a year now, but now I welcome everyone who's coming for the first time. I promise you, you'll just jump in right in, because a lot of people have come to classes in last few times, and we can always, I'll revise a little bit, just give you a background. So again, welcome to YogaLeher GeetaMehek. And the reason I called it GeetaMehek is because it is truly the fragrance of Bhagavad Gita that I have experienced in my life. And it is very important that we people, commoners really, we start talking about it and not wait till we get old and then we realize, oh my God, we should have been reading it much before. I didn't know it could benefit me. I thought it was for my grandparents. So that has been the misunderstanding about Bhagavad Gita. So Bhagavad Gita is part of Mahabharata, and Mahabharata is 100,000 verses, and Bhagavad Gita is the 700 verses out of it, 18 chapters. And let me make sure everybody's right now muted, and then we can go ahead. Yeah, I've muted everyone. And so then Bhagavad Gita is divided into 18 chapters, and we are right now doing the third, just started the third chapter. The first chapter is really about Arjun Vishad Yoga. Each chapter of Bhagavad Gita is called a yoga. So basically, the basic textbook of yoga word actually is actually not yoga, it's yoga. So the yoga, the basic textbook is, Bhagavad Gita. If we go back further, yes, even it's after all, Bhagavad Gita is coming from Vedas too. But and when we look at just the yoga, there's Patanjali Yoga Sutra and all that, but really Bhagavad Gita is the primary, because yoga means what? Union. And union of what? Union of your lower consciousness to higher conscious, union to your outer aspect, to your inner aspect, union of your senses to your body, and that we will talk more in detail, your body to your mind to your intellect to your Atman, and your Atman to your higher consciousness. So really the whole integration is yoga. Now, because everybody, as such in the West, we tend to sometimes use yoga or yoga interchangeably. So I'm going to stay between the two words. There is something called English transliteration. So when yoga came to the West, they had to figure out how to write it. So what they did, they decided in English transliteration was, in Hindi, there is if you say about girl, then there is in Hindi we have got Adi Matra. People know that everything has got Adi Matra. So then how do you translate that in English? So it was decided that if it's girl, in Hindi girl, then they will keep it as G. That is Adha girl. If it is going to be your girl, then they will make it GA. So it was actually girl, the only girl. And then if you did it ga, then it would be, me and my writing is not the best, but then it will be GA with a little mark on top. So this was supposed to be, so, but the people, of course, did not read about the English transliteration, and they started YOGA, and they started reading it as yoga. But actually, if you really wanted to make it yoga, it would have been written as YOG and with this mark. But it is not written there, so it's actually meant as yoga and yoga, not like yoga. So it's like that is the difference. That is why. So it is not English; it's English transliteration. So I learned that during my Ayurveda, because in Ayurveda it's not Ayurveda. Again, it's DA, not A with that little mark. It's called some word. It's called. So anyway, so that's Bhagavad Gita. And then in Bhagavad Gita, the first chapter is the Arjun Vishada Yoga, which is basically all of us. We are all the Arjuns who are having kind of a Mahabharat within us, the kind of a confusion within us about everything. So you could have a confusion about, should I eat this? Should I not eat this? To a big decision of life. Every decision, should I take up this job or not that job? Should I, so everything, and what is good, what is bad, is this right, is this wrong? I feel like doing that, but I've been told not to do it. So all kind of, so if you look at it, Arjuna is also in that same position. He's a warrior. He's been in battlefields before. He's a prince, and he's the hero of Mahabharata. And so he comes to the battlefield fully prepared. He's not in two thoughts of why he's fighting. He knows why he's there. He needs to, there is wrong been done. They have tried various methods to get themselves and not have this fight, but that's not how it has worked. So they are going to have this fight. And right when he comes there, he sees his relatives, he sees his teachers, Bhishma Pitama, and then suddenly he just loses that courage. So the same man who was ready to fight says, oh no, I cannot fight. How can I kill these people? I'll go to hell. I would rather be, a complete beggar than fight these people. What's the point of fighting these people? So he uses all kind of arguments to not want to fight. So if one were, looking at it very superficially, one could say, of course he's right. Who should kill their relatives? Nobody should be killing their relatives. So the even that is called Arjun Vishad Yoga. So it is not called just Arjun Vishad. Vishad means, his what is it? The pain, the suffering, the absolute depression going through. But the reason it's called yoga, because that is the path to yoga. So that is the path to union. So in other words, I could say challenges is when we grow. So Arjun reaches that point where it forces him. He's already a great warrior. He's already a great student. He has great focus, but now he's reached a point of confusion. So that is where the first chapter was. The second chapter was Sankhya Yoga. Sankhya Yoga is one of the biggest chapters, 72 verses. And that chapter really gives an entire gist of the entire Bhagavad Gita. So it kind of starts where Krishna starts talking now, and he's talking about various parts. Who are you? What are you? And what is your swadharma? What is karma yoga? What is the idea of buddhi yoga? What is a person of stable wisdom? What is senses? What is this whole science of senses? So indriyas, we talked about indriyas, and today we will talk more about it. But really, the second chapter was Krishna didn't go into how sometimes we do with our friends. It's like, we sit and we sympathize with our, friend, and we know what we should be saying, but we basically don't do that. But Krishna goes right to the point. He does not mince around. He's very non-judgmental. He's very loving. But he tells him right away that you are grieving for the wrong reasons. And this is, what is Atman? Sankhya Yoga basically means the complete knowledge about the soul. He gives in the first, I think we talked about if somebody wants to on their own read a little bit, and then we will keep coming back to it. But from the verses 11 to 30, in the second chapter, it talked about the soul. So we will, as we keep going, we will talk more. But that chapter really gives an overview. But as he gives the overview, Arjun is again confused. Like, okay, so if you are saying that I should do karma, but then I should also have the knowledge, so karma yoga. So he really does not get a grasp on karma yoga. And he thinks about, why not? Why do I have to do all this? What if I just drop this war, leave this war, and then just go and meditate, become a sadhu? After all, there are many like that within us, right? Who think, okay, the way to enlightenment is let me start meditating, right? I don't have to do any of the other things. So Arjuna is right there. He's like, okay, Krishna, why are you ghore? He's talking ghore karmane. Why are you making fight this horrible, terrible war? Let me just leave the ground and I will meditate myself. So this is where the third chapter begins. So this is where we come down to why we need to do Karma Yoga. What is the whole point? Karma Yoga is not an option for you. It is the path to liberation. What liberation? Liberation from suffering. What is the suffering? Suffering is this inside of you, the place where you're not happy, where you have attachment, you get anger, where you get pain. That place, we want to be liberated from that, right? We don't want to suffer every day. But we think everybody else is responsible for it, right? So and so is responsible for it, so and so is responsible for it. Well, what if we reach a point where we realize nobody is responsible? I am responsible. And so once I know that I am responsible for it, I can completely be realizing, okay, what do I need to do to make myself completely happy within so that I am at all times full of joy. And in that path, Krishna is very clear. Karma Yoga is not an option. Karma Yoga has nothing to do with the karma. So people can be volunteering 24/7. They may not be doing Karma Yoga. People can be working and making money 24/7. And don't think if you think they're materialistic and not in Karma Yoga, that's also not true. So businessman can be, King Janaka was one of the biggest Karma Yogis and biggest Jnani Yogis. He was a liberated soul and he was the king. So was Ram. So was Krishna himself. So all these, there is no, you can be an engineer and be in Karma Yoga. You can be a homemaker in Karma Yoga. Or you can be doing non-profit work and be not completely in Karma Yoga. You can be working every day to homeless shelter and not be in Karma. So the point is, Krishna is very clear. We need to do Karma Yoga. Now, why and what is Karma Yoga? That is where we started the third chapter. And in the last time, we talked about how this, nobody, first of all, can, that he talked about there are two paths that he has. There are two basically stages of growth. The first one is the Karma Yoga, and then there is Jnana Yoga. So, and we will talk more in detail about that. But then he also says in the verse number 4 that you cannot ever you can never avoid karma, So, and you can never avoid karma by not starting an action or by giving up action. So let's talk about, because he talks that, in that verse 4, that a man cannot avoid karma because he ceases to undertake action, nor does he fully reach siddhi simply by renunciation. So I definitely want to make sure that you understand that, if today you're thinking, I'm full of this, life is a total waste, people are useless, everything is useless, I just want to go, I have actually been through that phase, right? I just want to go to Himalayas and sit and meditate, right? But that would have not liberated me, because I would have been, if I'm miserable here, I'm going to be miserable there. So it is not the location which is going to, because then I'll find new people there. If I'm cribbing about people will happen everywhere, right? And then that, or by renunciation. So if you are in the middle of an action, if you think right now you're in grahasthashram and you just want to walk away, well, guess what? There is no escaping your karma. Your path to liberation is through your swadharma. Okay. With that, let's come to verse number, a little bit background I'm giving for all the people who are joining new. And I'm sure I'll keep going over different parts of it. You can also read yourself. I have multiple books but one of the common books we have been following here is the Living Geeta. Living Geeta is by Sri Swami Satchidananda. So the Living Geeta is the book, the complete Bhagavad Geeta. This is a modern, easy translation. So if anybody wants to buy it, they can buy it to follow. But if you have some other version, that's fine too. If you have a Hindi version, that's fine too. Okay, with that, I am going to see if we can do chapter 5. Okay. Is there anybody who wants to read it? Surinderji, you want to read it? I'm going to unmute you. Oh, I couldn't unmute you. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, number 5. No one is free of actions even for a moment, because everyone is moved to do things by the qualities of nature. The qualities of nature, known as the 3 Gunas, Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas, are the 3 qualities that function through Prakriti or nature. They are similar to positive, negative, and neutral forces. We have the 3 Gunas even in an atom: protons, electrons, and neutrons. What are the differences between elements? The number of protons, the number of electrons, the number of neutrons. In the same way, if Sattva is a bit predominant in someone, that person is said to be a spiritual seeker. Someone with a little more Rajas, a few more electrons, just runs around. After all, what are the body and mind? Nothing but the same Prakriti. Nature is composed of natural elements, which themselves are expression of the subtle essence, which is pure consciousness. Everything that has manifested, you can call Prakriti, Mother Nature. All expressions of that essence are called the Mother. The unexpressed one is the Father. The Father, the essence of everything, cannot express himself. He must express or manifest through the Mother or as the Mother. Therefore, know that anything and everything that is expressed is the Mother. In this sense, all we see is nothing but Mother. Don't think that only when you have a feminine body, you are a mother. We are all part of nature. That's why we say Mother Nature. As long as we are still identifying with our bodies and minds, we will be tossed constantly by these 3 Gunas. That tossing about can be called action. Even your hunger and thirst is action. To fulfill the hunger and thirst, there is more action. Everyone must pass through Prakriti, but gradually, when you are ripe enough in your wisdom, you just drop away from her. The Prakriti won't affect you anymore. Though you have dropped away, you haven't disappeared. You are still in the same cosmos, but Prakriti won't affect you. It's something like a patient who goes to the hospital to be cured. Until you are well, you have to be there. You can't just jump and say, I came for a week only, I'm going now. While you are there, you make use of the hospital and its facilities in order to be healed. On the other hand, after you are completely healed, you might still say, this bed is so comfortable and the food is so good. There are sweet looking nurses all around. Why can't I stay a couple more days? But now you will be pushed out without your even trying to go. Renunciation comes the same way, automatically. Even if you don't want it, it will come when you are ready. The Mother Prakriti will nip you until you get out. The mother bird pecks at the young one. Now you have grown wings, you can go around by yourself. Go. That's what we see in nature. That's Mother Nature's function. When you are ready, she won't bother to have you here, constantly feeding you. She has too much to do. There are so many children to take care of. But until that time, you should just wait. Be under her loving care. Learn all you have to learn.
Yeah, this one had a long explanation. That is very good.
Hmm.
Okay. Okay. So thank you, Surendraji.
No problem.
So the verse is Nahi kaschit shanamapi jatu tishtati akarmakrit. Nahi he means certainly not. Kashit means no one or anyone. Shanamapi, even for a moment. Api means even. Shanam means for a moment. Jatu means ever. So no one ever for a moment, certainly. Tishtati means remains akarmakrut, without action. So this is interesting here. So many people, tell me they want to, give up action, or they think they are giving up action when they're sitting down, and maybe they're, doing nothing, watching TV, or they're doing meditation. But actually Krishna is saying, even for a moment, no one ever can be without action. Karyate hi avashaha mean the action has karma. So action is compelled. Certainly it is compelled. Helplessly you are performing sarva. All will helplessly perform the action. Prakriti jay gunai. So by the gunas of the prakriti. So this is basically, what does that mean? Since there is, so now here you are thinking you are going to give up action, Arjuna, or Arjuna means you also, that you are going to give up something to get liberation. And here Krishna is saying there is no way to get out of action. Whether you like it or not, everything will be, you cannot be without an action. So let's talk a little bit about this. What is this guna? So, and what is this prakruti? So let's look at it a little more closely. And I actually, because in our Ayurveda also we do a lot of sattva, rajas, tamas. So I wanted to give you a little more. It is more wider than what you think. So in the sense that sometimes people associate sattva means all good, and tamas mean all bad. Rajas also is all bad. That's not exactly how it works. So these all three have come from Prakriti. So there cannot be as such total good and bad. So how do we look at the way how the Sankhya philosophy, if we look at how it gives is, I'm going to take this out to so that I have a little more room. So if we look at it, then they're saying the universal consciousness, which is the Purusha, the unmanifested, the eternal, the unmanifested, the oneness that we talk about in the universe, the complete unmanifested. From there comes that desire to manifest in the terms of Prakriti. So Prakriti and Purusha ultimately lead to, Prakriti has got the desire to manifest, Purusha is the unmanifested. And together, this is what leads ultimately to there are multiple paths in between, but sattva, rajas, and tamas. So if we were to a little bit explain the middle path, this Prakriti and Purusha, first thing it's giving rise to is the universal intelligence. So when you say, some people will say, Sissy likes to say she feel, she has been, there are times when she feels connected to the universal intelligence. This is the Mahat. And from there, the universal intelligence comes your Ahankar, or your individual I-ness. So this is not the ego we are talking about, but we are talking about the individual I-ness. And then from there emerges the Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. And this Sattva and Rajas and Tamas gives rise to the entire world. So if you look at a tree is grounded. That grounding is Tamas, which is what is giving it that grounding. The movement of the leaves, the growth in the tree, that is the Rajas, which is why activity is happening in the tree. And the absolute, the nature beauty that you observe, the way the nature is giving, the way, the flowers flower and then the fruits come on, that is the sattva. So it is feeding you. It never asks for anything back. It just feeds you. Same way in you, there is that part of you which has tamas. When it is a tamas, that is why you sleep. You become tired. You become lethargic. There is a time. If you had no tamas, you will never sleep because you will always be active. So there is the Prakriti has these gunas. We are function of that Prakriti gunas. Because of Rajas, which is that potential energy, the energy of activity, not the potential energy, the energy of activity. In that, there is all kind of movements happening. So your thoughts, your emotions, your feelings, whatever you're thinking, that is Rajas. Right now I'm speaking, that is Rajas. So activity, growth is happening from Rajas. Sattva is that potential energy where there is clarity. So if I am, for example, I have an activity to do. The activity is talking. Now, whether I'm doing it as in the sattvic, with the sattvic guna or rajasic guna or a tamasic guna, you can actually tell. So how you can tell, if suppose I'm talking in a way where you say, she's always very anxious prone, she always talks so fast and then she's like this and her mind's going crazy and she talks on top of her words and then she cuts me off and she talks. I'm still talking, but you can see my restlessness is a lot more. Sometimes you could be sitting completely quiet, but your mind, I can tell you to do breathing exercise or meditation, and you say, I cannot have a calm mind. What is that? That is Rajas, right? So that is that movement that we are calling Rajas. And then Sattva, if I was talking in Sattva, then I would have more clarity of thought. I would have more right intentions. If my intention in talking was to impart some God's knowledge or impart something which would cause you to have growth, impart some way to be a vessel so that knowledge can pass through me, then I'm in Sattva. If I impart the same knowledge, but my intention is, can I get some few likes? Can I get some people telling me thank you? Can I get a little bit of fame from this? So then I'm in Rajas. If my thoughts are, I'm better than her, she is, not good, and my show is better than her show. My yoga is better than her yoga. I want to make sure she goes down. I'm just saying the natural tendency. Then we know that is coming. Same action, same thing, but it is coming from a place of tamas. So each person has a combination of, now when we say Atman is pure Sattva. There is not Rajas and Tamas in it. In Manas, now if you look at the level of, when we talk about mind, at the level of mind, we talked about that there are 4 aspects of mind, right? So we have done that before, that what are we? We are a combination of, we are 4-dimensional entity. We are the number 1 dimension is the senses. Senses is a separate dimension. Then is your body, and then is your mind, and then is your soul. So we are 4-dimensional entity. The mind itself is divided into, it's a 4-dimension structure. Think about your mind. One is your mundane mind, your everyday mind, manas. This mundane mind or manas just thinks like, right now after the class I have to go wash dishes, then I have to do this, then I have to do this, now I'm hungry, oh my stomach is, how many thoughts are going on in your manas? That is the manas mind. Then is your ahankar or your ego. This is the one that tells you, I am this, I am, so and so, I am a doctor, I am a Hindu, I am an Indian, I am a girl, I am identification, the layers of identification. I am a mother, I'm a mother of so and so, my son gets an A+, my daughter, that is all the ahankar, the layers of identification made for yourself. Soul is all one, right? When we look at the the universal consciousness, we are all one. That is the basic philosophy. But then we have created these divisions based on ahankar or the ego. And then you have the buddhi or the intellect. Buddhi or the intellect is the third part, and it exists in you. If you did not have a buddhi, human beings have buddhi. This is the buddhi that makes you realize, if I put you, like I like to talk, put you in a room full of drug addicts, will you start doing drugs tomorrow? No. What will your buddhi will be in play, right? This is not what I have to do. But sometimes your manas, when you know you're diabetic, you still end up eating that sweet, because at that time your buddhi is too weak. Your manas takes over, because your senses take over, and your senses are active. And then it is the chitta, right? The awareness. This is manas, ahankar, buddhi, chitta. So the chitta and buddhi are actually sattva. So if we are remaining in our awareness, that is sattva. And even your intellect on its own is sattva. But your ahankar, what is ahankar? Ahankar is actually mostly tamas. There can be some rajas, but it is primarily a sense of identification. And then mundane mind, your manas is the monkey mind. It is a completely rajasic mind. It is all over the place. You can right now I can tell you, think of that ocean, that last vacation, suddenly that ocean will come in front of your eyes. That is the power of this mundane mind. It is so quick to go from here to here. Even when you sleep, it starts dreaming. So it is a very rajas mind. So when somebody says, I am not going to do any activity and sit in, because that is what Arjun wants to do, is give up action. He's telling him, you can never give up action, because based Prakriti, you are made of Prakriti. You are, as long as we have existence, you're going to do an action. That is the primary reason. Now, what we say is, yes, gradually what you're going to try to do is, if you get into Karma Yoga, your Sattva will increase. That is the first step. So when somebody says, this person is very pure, what they're saying, the Sattva is more. Where did the Sattva? Sattva will not increase by sitting in meditation and sitting in Bhagavad Geeta class. It will increase first from Karma Yoga. It is very few people who have done a tremendous amount of work, probably in the last birth, that they come and then they become, the saints from the birth. Most of us have to go through Karma Yoga, because karma is inevitable. Why do you want to bypass a path which is anyway you have to do? If you didn't have to do it, that would be another. But Krishna is saying you will never be able to not do it. Then what's the point in fighting it? So if you're saying, I want to learn meditation, first tell me, are you doing Karma Yoga? Because you can do complete meditation in what is Karma Yoga? What is meditation? Meditation is dhyana. What is dhyana? That kind of, you're going towards that union. First, have you done Karma Yoga to develop that kind of focus, to develop that kind of dhyana? So meditation can be completely done in your everyday work. If you're washing dishes, you can learn to do it. And how? That is Krishna is going to be. He talked a little bit in the second chapter too, but we are going to talk about it in this chapter of how to turn every action into Karma Yoga. Because you are action, you have to do. Does that make sense? You can't get away from action because you're made up of 3 guna. Don't think you're above the 3 guna, because everything, the blood is flowing in you, that is rajas. So, if you look at the body also, your stability, these bones in your body are tamas, because that is what's giving you the grounding. And this higher awareness, this reason why you are feeling there is something more, that the sattva in you, the purity in you, the clarity in you, as you go towards clarity, you become more and more sattvic. So that is one thing I wanted to say about this one. Any further thoughts on this? So this is what mainly, when you will hear about these Mahagunas different times, Krishna brings it up, and this is where it is coming from. Let's go to the next verse. And the next verse is verse number 6 of the 3rd chapter. And anybody else wants to read it, or we can have, okay. I think, so Surendraji, you can read it.
Okay, number 6. Whoever stills the body as if seated in meditation, but mentally continues to think about sense objects is deluded and hypocrite.
Hypocrite.
Hypocrite. Many times we think, I am fasting. I am not going to eat anything today. But what about tomorrow morning? What shall I eat then? Physically, we may not be eating, but mentally we are. An action is evaluated by its motive, not by the action itself. Crimes committed without any planning are even pardoned sometimes. Even murder, if you prove that you have not concentrated on it ahead of time and that it just came up all of a sudden, meditated, then you might be excused. But even if you don't actually commit the crime, if it's proved you are concentrating on it and planning it, then you will get the punishment. This shows that the mind is more important than action. Often so-called renunciates will say, I have nothing, no attachments. I don't desire to do anything. But in fact, they are doing many things mentally. Maybe they go into a cave and sit there alone, but mentally they bring the entire world with them. That's not true renunciation. Meanwhile, a king ruling a country could still be a renunciate if he has no selfish desires. King Janaka, for example, was ruler of a country, but many sages and saintly seekers went there to be initiated by him. Yajnavalkya was a well-known guru, a great Jnani, a renunciate. But he sent his own son, Sukha, to King Janaka to be initiated into sannyasa, a life of renunciation. Look at that. A renunciate sage sending his son to get initiated by a king who is ruling a country. It shows that it's not your position in the world, but the attitude behind what you are doing that makes you a renunciate or a householder. It all depends on how much house you're holding on in your heart. So the mind and its attitudes should be seen behind this structure.
Yeah. This is a great verse. I really like this verse because let's go with this. Karmendriyani sanyamya, karma indriyani. So karmendriya sanyamya, ya aste manasa smaran. So this is the first time in Bhagavad Gita so far that the word karmendriya came along. You know how we have talked about jnanendriya and karmendriya. So I used to say that, whenever you're talking about senses, don't always think about only the 5 faculties of knowledge, right? There are the sense faculties. So for example, people say eyes, don't see something bad from the eyes, or, Gandhi ji ke teen bandar, so the eyes, the ears, the taste, the smell, and the touch. So the 5 senses. These are the faculty of knowledge, the jnanendriyas. But then there are karmendriyas, which are the faculties of action. So these senses are also as important as the jnanendriya, or the faculties of knowledge. And these are which one? These are your sense of speech, your faculty of speech, your faculty of doing your dexterity, the motion with the things with your hand, the faculty of locomotion. So basically you're walking, you're using your feet. So feet is not the knowledge, it's the locomotion. The faculty of excretion. So basically the movement through your anus, but basically excretion. And then the procreation. So these are the 5 faculties of action. This is how we do action outward. And then we get knowledge through the 5 jnanendriya. So jnanendriya and karmendriya. So they're actually 10 horses we have got. We don't have 5 horses, we have got 10 horses. Arjun, was sitting in Mahabharata, and sometimes, we see these 5 horses. Well, then people start thinking, okay, these are only the 5 ones that I have to control. I should stop seeing something, not watch something terrible. but actually they are the first time. So far he has used the word Indriya many times in second chapter, but this is the first time he talks about Karmendriya, that when you bring Karmendriya into control, so you have brought all your Karmendriya under your restraint, but you remain here aste, but who remains from manasa smaran. So from the mind, he is remembering what? Some smaran, indriya arthan. So basically the objects of the senses. So he's pulled all the faculties of action. Indriya, he stopped. So what does that mean? So that means, this person who's sitting in meditation, right? You see them quietly sitting, right? You go to a yoga class or you go to a retreat or you anywhere, right? People go for all kinds of meditation classes. So let's talk in that sense. There are many ways we can talk about it, but let's first start there. So if we were saying, so this person thinks, okay, I'm going to, this is a common thing, right? Modern age, everyone going to some retreat, spiritual retreat. And then you see them sitting. So they have withdrawn the actions. They are not using their feet. They have been told to sit like this. They cannot talk. They even go on silent retreat. Oh, I went on a silent retreat too. It's actually a great place. Art of Living had this in, I think, North Carolina. Great place. Boone County, wherever. So great place, but so you're not speaking and your hands are not moving and your feet are not moving, and you may have taken a vow of celibacy for all you know. So now you're not even doing any sexual activity, and now excretion, of course, you have to do from time to time, but you're not doing anything and you're sitting there. So this karmendriya, the karmendriya you have controlled. But now think about the mind. The mind is thinking of the objects of the senses. Which senses now? Of Jnanendriya. So, because what will you think about? You think about something, this person you saw, or something, someone said something nasty about you. You're sitting there. Oh, she said that, or, something, thoughts are going on, something you heard. So that, what is the object of this sense? Some sound. What is the object of this eye sense? Jnanendriya, some sort of form. So you are thinking, you went in a silent retreat and you were right about to close the eyes, and then suddenly this beautiful woman when now your eyes are closed, but thoughts are going on. Once I open the eyes, I have to say hello to her. So what I mean to say is there is that different images. Or you can be, I have known another one. People will be meditating, next thing they will pick up and go to a Salman Khan movie, because their mind was anyway planning for the 6 p.m. Salman Khan show. But right before that, they went for Rishi came to Cincinnati and they went for the class and they sat there. But what was going on in their mind? The sense object. What is going on? Or they may be doing some sort of a fasting, and they're fasting and they are, doing puja, but then they're thinking about, my stomach is growling. What time in the evening will I get to it? Oh, what time is the moon coming on? How? Because taste, the object. What is the sense object for the taste? Something to eat. And now you want that food. So that is the sense object. Touch is, of course, one of the biggest reasons why all kind of abuse happens in the world. So we are of course, we are touchy-feely animals anyway. So we are sitting there, but some other feelings are going on. Or which one happens? Nose. So now you're sitting there, and then you're thinking of something to eat. So basically, some of these senses, especially the eyes, are one of the most powerful one. Ears are very powerful one. You could even be thinking of something positive. Someone praised you. Thoughts are going on, right? Some words are going on. Our mind. So this person, Krishna is saying that with karmendriya is sitting. But the objects of the senses, these 5 senses, which are the Jnanendriya, which take that, they are roaming around. And the other classic example I like to give is, I have the situation of women are working in the house. This husband is sitting at the, saying, when she does the dishes, it looks like she's meditating. She does it with so much quiet. She's just doing the dishes. But think about her mind. Is she really? Or is she going on? There's a whole chatter going on. You will never know. There's a whole story going on. sometimes positive, sometimes negative. It's going on. The husband sitting in the family room is thinking very quiet, but she probably is quiet because she's mad at him and the whole chatter is going on in her head. Or she's, something else is going on. So what I mean to say is she's closed the mouth. We all have experience, right? Women are really good at this silent treatment to our loved ones. So we are giving this, mouth is closed. So Karmendriya is closed. But what is the Gyanendriya doing? He may have said some line innocently, but our mind has prepared a whole story about it and we are going on, and now we have remembered everything from 20 years ago, and now all that stories are brewing in our head and mind is thinking, but we're not saying anything. So what is Krishna saying to such a person? Vimood Atma. Mood means what? Foolish. Vimood means very special foolish. Adjective added to mood. Vimood Atma. So this person is absolutely foolish. Mithyachara sa uchyate. Such a person is called mithyachara, mean completely a hypocrite. So this is, if you start now looking around you, either you know some few hypocrites like this, or you yourself have been an hypocrite, from time to time, where you were thinking, that, I'm going to really get up today at 5:30 and start meditating. And the whole time 1 hour went in some thought process, right? So it's not that you should meditate. Krishna is not saying that till your mind gets stable, don't sit. But do not, so there is a whole balance. Now, first of all, Krishna is saying, you are always going to be active. So what is going to be active? Your manas is going to be, your mind is going to be active, your body is going to be active. So based on your guna, you are going to be active. If you externally become calm and take up a position, but your mind is all over the place, attached. Why is this? Why are we thinking of the sense objects? Because we are very attached to it. Like we said in our diagrams, that these are the, we have done this kind of a diagram before, where we said, and this will happen, what is the time? I'll do the last diagram. I think we'll have to take it up a little later. But suppose these are the 5 senses, and this is that object of the senses, and this is your mind. Your manas, there are 4 layers of the mind. So manas, your manas is so attached to these objects directly. This is so attached to the objects that your whole body is sitting quietly. You don't have to go anywhere. Your mind is already attached to it. So your mind is going everywhere. It is completely attached. So no point in you, first realize this. First realize that this is what happens. How to break this? Well, he's going to give you the Karma Yoga is the only way you break this attachment. It is not to say that do Karma Yoga and don't try to meditate today. But don't try to meditate so you can tell other people, I meditate every day. If your intentions are pure, start some practice. Maybe just do pranayam. That's what I tell everyone. Everyone who's asking me, I said, learn to first do some breathing exercise. Meditation, just do Karma Yoga and do some breathing exercise. Meditation, Jnana Yoga will come on its own. So with that, because now we do have time constraint, we will continue this in a little bit. If anybody has some thought, you can express. Anybody on the Zoom wants to express. Otherwise, we will do Anulom Vilom, and we will then take some questions if we want to. Does that sound good? So what is Anulom Vilom? Alternate nostril breathing. Every class we will end with alternate nostril. Why do we do that? Because we want to learn some sort of a breathing exercise. Breath is the way to calm your mind. You cannot directly talk to your mind and calm it. So breath, when we start becoming conscious of our breath, we calm our mind. One of the greatest ways, alternate nostril breathing. Why? Because our body is parasympathetic system and sympathetic system. And so parasympathetic is cooling, it relaxes you. Sympathetic is the activity which makes your heart rate go up. So because we are so stressed in our lives, we tend to always have a sympathetic system up. So by the end of the day, our sympathetic system has gone up, even if you've done, if you have some kind of practice. But because of everyday work, we tend to be on more anxious side. We're more warmed up. So that is why we do Anulom Vilom, which brings the parasympathetic and sympathetic in balance. Ida and Pingala. Ida is the cooling side, which is the left side of the body. Pingala is the warm, the right side of the body. We can say the moon and the sun. We can say the feminine, which is the cooling side, and the masculine side within us. How do we do this? I'll just demonstrate one time. So we'll take our thumb, right thumb. You'll place your right thumb on your right nostril. The index and the middle finger can be on your forehead. If you don't like keeping it on the forehead, you can also turn it down. You will inhale from the left nostril, keeping the right nostril. You inhale from the left nostril. Then you will close the left nostril and hold it for, maybe a count of 2 when you're starting. And then exhale from the right nostril. Then you can again hold for a count of two, and then inhale from the right nostril, hold, and then exhale from the left. That is 1 round. We will do 5 rounds of this. If holding the breath is an issue, don't worry about it. Don't need to hold. Just inhale and exhale. Then inhale from right, exhale from left. Okay. For those of us who have been doing it for longer, we have done 4 in, 4 count in, 4 hold, 4 out, then 4 hold. But right now we are at 7. So 7 in, 7 hold, 7 exhale. So anyone who's at whatever level you are, we are not doubling the number. Eventually we will go there. But right now you're going to do equal. Either you're going to hold in between, not hold, your choice. 5 of those. So everyone get yourself comfortable and start I'm not going to lead you. You're going to do it on your own. I'm going to actually mute myself so that nobody hears my breath sounds, and focus on your own breath. So anybody has any thoughts or comments? How does that feel? And so we will continue again every Thursday. For those of you who are new, welcome to YogaLeher GeetaMehek, to spread the leher of Gita and the Mehek of leher of yoga and the Mehek of Gita. And we will continue with this yoga. If you have any thoughts, comments, please. Do we have anything on the chat? Okay, yeah. Thank you, Sangeeta. I see someone said on iPhone, this is so interesting, so much to learn. Thank you, Anisha, but I don't know whose iPhone is that. But if you have something to say, you can always either put in chat or unmute yourself. We are at 8:59. So thank you so much for joining, and thank yourself for bringing yourself today. Yoga Asana, if you're new to it, I highly recommend it. And Bhagavad Geeta, of course, I think that's the best self-help book that can be out there. And I have read probably over 100 of them before I realized I should better get to Gita. So thank you, everyone. Big namaste to you all, and see you next Thursday. Thank you.
This is BharatFM.
बजेगा भारत झूमेगा भारत. बजेगा भारत झूमेगा भारत.
This is BharatFM.